Hi there, I'm Alison. This is my little dog Ivy, and I'm a furniture painter and home decor upcycler based in Derby in the UK. My business is called Little Ivy Designs, after the dog, although admittedly Ivy doesn't design too much, so I'm going to pop her down and show you what today's tutorial is for. These little Victorian inspired sort of pendants. I posted some photos of these up on the Iron Orchid Design Creative Tribe Facebook page and got a lot of questions about how I made them, what I used, what paints, etc. I previously made some of these over the Christmas period and got a lot of questions about this one too, but it was Christmas, so you know, didn't get around to showing you. So to make, I've been using the IOD Brooches mould. That's that there, and also the IOD Transfers Millots pages, which I love for tiny decor pieces like this because of the size of the transfers. It makes it ideal for tiny things. Look at the birds. Okay. So the first lot of these I've done all with air dried clay, and they've come out really beautiful, but they can be quite tricky to get out of the mould. I mean, you must use cornflour starch to help it come out, but the bigger ones that you use, the harder it is to get them out looking nice and clean and flat. And if you look at this one, which is the most beautiful of them all, I've done this one with air dry clay, but as you can see, it's so delicate and it's snapped here. So I thought this one I'd have a go with doing with epoxy resin, and that has come out beautifully. And I would recommend for the more intricate designs like this to use resin, but you know, maybe some of the more solid pieces you're probably better using clay. I'm just thinking, because these are like hanging up ornaments, they're not something that's going to get used a lot, so they won't take knocks and things. So yeah, I'd mainly use clay. What I thought I'd do is show you today doing one. This is one that I've done with the resin, and then I can sort of carry on working on this one that's gone wrong already, but just to give you a bit of comparison. One of the questions I was asked was, what paint have you used on these? And the honest answer is I don't know, because I use chalk paint, and then what I do is when the pot I've had to wash my brush out, I end up putting all of that into a jam jar, and sometimes I'll let some of the water evaporate off of it and use that for sort of different effects. Like, for example, it's a bit of a mix of goodness knows what. However, I have matched it, and it looks to me very similar to this mint julep I have from Dixie Belle. I do use chalk paints predominantly, but I love, I quite often will start, like with this one, on resin particularly, with fusion mineral paint, because it just sticks so well and it has such good coverage. So personally, for a base coat, that's what I've used there. So we'll use this green because that's the one I've used already. Just get my little artist paintbrush, because I mean, I was going to say because it's tricky, but it really isn't, because they have these lovely rims, do you see here, around the edge? So I mean, it's almost hard work to mess it up. Although just you go watch me mess it up. Now I've said that out loud. Okay, yeah, but what I mean is, like, you see it can sort of goes down and pulls around the edges there. So see if I can get out them little bubbles. But yeah, I mean, I think that will be absolutely fine with that one coat of paint, but only because I've put the fusion paint underneath there. Otherwise, I think I'd be doing that a few times to get the right effect. The way I was getting my transfers onto here originally was I was going to sort of put the transfer on the top and have a bit of a feel for where the mould is underneath. And I'm kind of just sort of roughly trying to get my pencil to sort of guide me so I've got a good idea of where to cut. I am going to cut off the little numbers, even though they are so cute. And I did start collecting them to use on a different piece, but they're so tiny I lost them. So if we turn to the back now, you can see I've got a fairly good guide there of where to cut. So let's get that cut out. I've taken the backing paper off, and now I just have this sort of see-through, and there's my sticker. Oh, sorry, that's in your face, that sticker was, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm going to put that down. Now, I am just going to apply this, and sort of, it's likely to go wrong, and I am going to do that on purpose. Say it before it happens. Yeah, just, you place it where you want to, and then you rub with this tool that comes with your transfers. Do you remember, I used to love when I was a kid, we'd have these transfers and you'd put them on your arm and put a wet flannel over the top, and it would be a fake tattoo. And oh my goodness, I think I was the business with a fake tattoo at 4 years old. Right, so rub-a-dub-dub. Yeah, you see, it's not gonna go very well, like I said, because I've purposefully gone over the edges here. No. Oh, do you know what? Could probably get away with that if we're honest. But yeah, so I've gone over that little leaf there, which, you know, would look much better if I hadn't. I've also gone here into this corner. So I don't know, maybe if I scratch with my finger, I could get it. Yeah, it's come off, but so has the gold paint. So, you know, you could, if you did make a mistake like this, you probably could get away with just painting back over the top. What I found using the method where I put this on top of my frame and then used a pencil, what I found is quite often when I've cut out the shape and then I've sort of put it on, it doesn't quite meet up to the edge. Let me bring this one up closer here. And I think that's because it's domed. And then when you cut it out, it's like it's too late. And therefore what I ended up doing was, if you can see, if I'm carefully show you here, I've had to then cut out the tiniest little slither here that was left on the sheet, and you see it's slightly mismatched, to then, yeah, match it up to the piece I'd already put on. And that was quite a faff, very fiddly. And of course, you know, the transfers, they get sticky, and yeah, anyway, so what I found is probably a better way of doing it is I've made myself a little see-through template. And I mean, I've also got normal cardboard templates, but the reason why I've made a see-through one is because then I can put it on top and I can see exactly then what I'm gonna get in my frame. So I think for this little cutie that we're doing, I'm gonna go over here. These are lovely, these ones, yeah. And then I can sort of still, again, like applying pressure down, and it will make a mark. There's a slight mark there with my pencil, but flipping it over, I can see and use the guideline I've sort of impressed here. Okay, so ready now to put on this little transfer that I've cut out using that see-through stencil. I also thought when I did this is if you do one of these and you find that you've cut out your transfer perfectly, you could actually keep the little bit of plastic that's left over for a template to use for future use. So pop that. What I'm going to do is, because there's edges cut off here, off of the leaves and stuff, and this side is all clean, I'm going to make sure that this bit lines up in those corners there. Yeah, you can see already it's not a perfect fit despite my efforts. Thing is, if it is slightly bigger, you can get some of the transfer going up this inside lip, which is good because that's not really going to show. Whereas if you come over onto the gold, that's not going to look so good as as you saw in that last one. So I think that's about the middle. Right, well, I'm just going to go for it because there's not much else I can do now, is there? Oh, no. There. I'm going to try and get that leaf. Sometimes I will just use my nail like this in emergency. You just got to do what feels right in the moment, haven't you, to save your piece. So, yeah, just looks like that top bit's gone on okay. Let's hope so. What's that? I don't, whatever that bit is there. See on the corner of my rubber. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter because it's not part of the main design. So, yes. This is all good, but you can see here where I've gone down so far, this leaf hasn't rubbed on yet. So I'm going to pop it back down, go over that. And you can kind of see it sort of goes a bit more translucent when it's adhered to your backing. I'm going to use the corner of this to push the corner of that leaf there under the rim, so that when I peel off this cellophane bit, it will hopefully sit in the frame. Same over here. Okay, fingers crossed. Oh yeah, that's all right. Good. Now then, let's have a look. So here I have gone over the frame, which isn't ideal. I am going to see if I can quickly scratch it off. Yeah, that's worked that time. Look, I think that's probably because this one's resin, and because it's that spray paint rather than a chalk paint, that's actually gone on quite nice. Where I've just this second I just ran my nail down there and it's actually pulled that away slightly, but it's such a small issue that I think we're going to get away with it, you know. So yeah, that looks really pretty as is, but you know, obviously the effect is on these ones is much more of an aged look, whereas that, you know, it's very pretty and it does work, but for me it's a bit bling. I do like things to look very old-fashioned, used, worn, etc. So yeah, so this is where we are now. Right, so having made my little gold template for the backing, I'm now going to put some hot glue on it, and it's probably best to use hot glue because what I like to do is I'll put this on the back. It will bond straight away, but also I can get in the little eyelet that I want to use to hang my chain off of this piece on. So I'm gonna line it up, pop it on there. That feels about right. Now is the time. Do I go with that one or the smaller one? I think I'll go with the smaller one. Yeah, so I've just put it there in between the mould and the backing. Whoops. Quickly going to grab my glue gun again and just make sure that this bit in particular has a good amount of glue on it. I'm going to hold it down with my pliers. Please excuse the dog crying outside. Can you hear her? It's because she's bored and I've shut the door on her. Yeah, holding it down with pliers because many of you will have learnt the hard way that when you hold it down with your fingers, you often burn yourself. Now look, that is already, that's loose. That's not going to work at all. Right, so a bit more hot glue down here. I'll try popping it in again. It might be that you end up having to use the bigger one just because it's a bit thicker. Right, I'm going to pop that in there and I'm going to use my nails to sort of really hold it down. I know I just said don't use your fingers, but you know, that should have worked then. There we go. Yeah, that'll be fine. So now there's a little eye there for me to attach my chain to. Okay, so now we get into the fiddly bits really. The chains I've used on these are basically from old necklaces, and actually it turns out the more rubbish the necklace, the better they are for this use, because you can pull them apart quite easily. I actually ran out of gold necklaces because these are all gold, and so what I did was I used the end, you know, this little bit of extra chain that you get so you can adjust how high or low your necklace is. I've pulled that off of one, and then spray painted it gold so that it will match up with that. And then I've got, it is fiddly, I've got these pliers here to try and help. Little rings there that I've just managed to pull off a necklace, and I'm going to try and get the ring. Oof, maybe not, let's try this one. It's worth having a few to hand and then just using what you can. So I've put the chain on that circle. I'm now gonna thread that through. Oh, it's so fiddly. And using my pliers, I'm gonna try and bring that back together. Now then, it's not the neatest join, but it is an ornament. It's going to be hanging up. It's not like a necklace you're going to wear. So yeah, there we go. So that will hang now. Time to move on to making this look a bit older. You can see here now, these are next to each other, that they are slightly different golds. This one has been spray painted with Kobra gold spray, and this one I've done with the Posh chalk. Oh, what's it called? It's got a tricky name. Bisonite, I think, something like that. Anyway, so I thought then we'd try, I've got Best Dang Wax in black, Dixie Belle, and the same in brown. And I thought it'd be nice to have a look at the different colours on the different ones. So I'm going to try, let's start with the black. And I've got an old paintbrush here. I'm going to put a tiny bit on the end, and then I actually end up, I know you're meant to use cloths and stuff, but I do so often end up using my fingers for these things. I'll start on a piece that isn't very important. Don't go straight into the middle with it, because if you've got too much wax, you'll ruin it. Yeah, and sort of as you go round, you can start to get an idea of how much wax you've got. Now, because quite a bit sort of offloaded here and here, I'm now going to come back and try and get that back onto my brush rather than dipping back in the pot and sort of spreading that out a bit. I've also still got that on my fingers, so I can use that. And I'm sort of swirling it to get it into all the little nooks and crannies. Again, a bit more, and just putting it on there. Actually, that's probably a much better idea, isn't it? So yeah, and I'm brushing it away from the inside of the piece, because you don't want to get too much black wax in the middle, because then you won't see the beautiful design that you've put in there, your transfer. So yeah, keep doing this bit of swirling to really get it into the right places. And now that the majority of it is come off of my brush, see if I do that there, you get an idea. I'm now going to just go round the edge of the transfer. I'm not going to go into the middle with my brush, and then with, not that finger, a clean finger, I might look at just smudging it in a bit so that it's not too bright in the middle. So there, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Obviously there's a bit here that are a bit too much, and you can use a cloth to sort of take away some of the excess, and then you can come in and put a bit more on where you like. But yeah, it's certainly looking a lot older than it did a couple of seconds ago. Right, so that's that one with the black wax. Now let's try the brown. I'll rub that off my fingers. And yeah, always have a scrappy cloth like this to hand. And I'm going to try and take the majority of it off of my brush. I mean, ideally you'd want to go and wash your brush with hot water, but come on, who really does that? Brown. Let's be sensible and put it on the cloth. Right, so again, this one, hold on, what's that? I'm going to start by going around the edge, and you see I've got probably quite a lot of brown wax on this one. Too much, I'd say, if anything. but that's why we're starting carefully on the edge. And I can take a bit more of that off there and then just use what I've got and make sure it's going into all the little crevices. Now you'll notice this one, because it's brown, it just gives a warmer tone to the piece, whereas the black on the bisonite, or whatever it's called, posh chalk gold colouring, is a bit of a cooler colour. Yeah, so this one's going on nicely. Going to use like the tiny little edge of my brush here to just get it into the frame. Can you see it, how it's going on there? I want to try and get some like right into this corner, because that's a bit of a giveaway, this lighter bit there. So yeah, if I like squeeze it like that, then I can get it down into the corners a bit more. Again, use a clean-ish finger to smudge it in. And hopefully now that's looking a bit more of the piece. Just going to try and get a little bit more up here and into the corners as needs be. So yeah, hopefully now that's looking more as we expect. When you sort of leave the wax on for a bit of time and then come round with a cloth just to take off any excess, because if you don't, it will come off on your wall or wherever you hang it. But that will set nicely now. So if we look at these two here, they're the ones we've just done, and I can put them next to the ones I'd done previously, and they certainly look to me like it's all fitting in nicely and that they're all sort of aged in the same way. So there we go. I hope you like the finished article. So thank you for watching today's tutorial. So some of you did say you thought they might look nice as necklaces, and of course I've had a go. I think obviously with the right outfit and a lot of confidence, you'd look fantastic wearing one of these. Or if you are little Ivy Dog, you look amazing too. Look at this, how cute is that? Oh, my little Victorian pup. She's not impressed, is she? So thanks for watching. It's actually taken me all day today to do these, and 3 years of putting off making tutorials. This is my first. Hope you've enjoyed it, and let me know what you think and if you would like more and what of. All right, thanks so much guys. Bye.